Hi, everyone, and welcome to our full moon eclipse video. I said new moon, it's a full moon. Mercury is retrograde, so that explains
Yeah,
problems
that's a
in
bad start, isn't it?
communication.
Mercury retrograde.
That's how it starts in, and that's how it's going down. My name's Emmeline Muldoon, and I'm with Big Three Astrology, and I get together here with Jim Delacolli.
Hey, everyone.
We get together twice a month and we go over the full moon and the new moon each month. And this is a really big video because obviously this full moon eclipse, which is happening on the 5th of May at 1:33 p.m. on the East Coast, is an eclipse. So we have a full moon eclipse in Scorpio. And it's important because it's bringing us back to last November when we had the last Scorpio eclipse. And this is the final. I think Scorpio has a lot of finality to it anyway as a sign, but this is the final eclipse in this eclipse series, eclipse pattern, however you want to word it. Eclipses, stay in a sign for 18 months. So this is the end of that Scorpio stuff that's been going on in our lives for the last 18 months. So, it's a big eclipse for lots of reasons. And we are going to share the chart for the eclipse and talk you through all the aspects and what's going on. Okay, can you see the screen there?
Yep.
Okay, good. Right. So we were just talking about this eclipse before we started recording. There's definitely a sense of what we need to. I think there's going to be, with the moon in Scorpio, an intense feeling around what we know needs to go, what we know needs to be released. It's the full moon. Whenever we have a full moon, it's a time to say goodbye. It's a time to think about what's finished, how things have culminated and come together. And now with this Scorpio, there's definitely this element of letting go, releasing, and saying what I strongly, intensely, and passionately, very Scorpio words, feel that I can't do or don't want for me anymore. And you were talking about this a little before we started, Jim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Scorpio is representative in astrology, Scorpio and Pluto, of the soul and its journey, right? And so a lot of times when we deal with this, it's the second. Scorpio is the second of the water signs, but it's in the fixed mode. And a lot of times when we deal with this, these are like deep seated, non-physical connective kind of energies that we're dealing with. So we feel this disturbance or this intensity, and we're not sure where it's from, right? But it's your soul like waking up and going, it's time for you to get in line, get more in line with who you really are, what you really need, and stand for that. And so a lot of what we've been doing, but you and I, as well as people we've been reading, is it's like there's this drive and this need to understand, find the truth. I want to get further here, and so it's like causing disturbances or waves that or maybe the things that we thought we needed or wanted or that were relevant in our lives are going by the wayside. And this is where we got to be really careful dealing with this intensity, is that it might need to go. It might need to you to understand it at another level. But what we're really looking at here is that soul's trying to get connected with what we've done so far in this shell, this body. And so what we're doing here is we're trying to get likenesses to us and then repel the things we don't need. So you're trying to draw to you what you need now to advance, and then repel what you no longer need. So there's a lot of people that are frustrating, but they're like, I got to stay this course, and it makes no sense. If you're doing that, you're right in line with the energies. Now, make sure that you're not altered by a drug or a alcohol or whatever, because we want you as clear in your senses as you can be as you're doing this. But know that frustration's heightened. You can see by this chart, the moon is hanging out there by itself, and Pluto and Mars isn't there yet. It's squaring this with the nodes. And so what we want you to know is that, you're dealing with an intense time that is time for us to all awaken. So.
Yeah. And there is a strong, I think you were referring to like the Neptunian energy there.
Yep.
Stay clear, stay focused, don't lose yourself in recreational drugs, alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I don't really drink at all. I mean, I maybe have a drink once a month. I'm not a big drinker, but whenever there's a Neptune stuff going on, I always go, oh, I fancy a glass of wine, or I fancy a beer, which is really weird. And like last night was one of those nights, and I was thinking, oh yes, there's Neptune. Neptune is strong at play right now. So it's always interesting to think about how you are being triggered by that Neptune, because, there is the lower form, which is, I want to escape. I don't want to be present. I just want to forget about the reality, which is what alcohol can make you do. Or you could think about, okay, let's tune in, let's use our intuition, and let's maybe meditate on it, which is like all good Neptunian stuff.
Yes.
To think about what we really want, because taking action, that Mars trine in Neptune, taking action around what we really love, what we really want, is strong in this chart.
And I have Saturn and Neptune in the first house, and it's funny how we draw to us energies, and I draw a lot of Piscean energy to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I have Saturn and Pisces in the first house.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, and what I'm learning is that Neptune and Pisces can get you to all the answers you need, or they can take you as far from getting to the answers you need, right? By deceiving yourself. And so it's very interesting how I see the heavy Neptunian and Piscean energies. They're their biggest maybe obstacle as they deceive themselves. They have all the power they want. It's just a matter of them. They're the last ones to figure it out, I guess. And so I think we're dealing with that right now, as you said. And so it's really up to you to just start owning this, right? Saturn's in Pisces as well with Neptune. So it's about us, truly understanding who we really are from all aspects, not just from the physical plane.
Yeah. And setting some boundaries when it's not easy to do so.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yes.
When it's not easy. It doesn't seem like we want to set boundaries sometimes, but we need to keep it in check.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point.
So I just skipped on and started talking about that Neptune trine.
That's good. I like to wander.
Yeah. So. We're just wandering around the chart, but that's fine. It's going where it's meant to go.
Yep.
Having an organic approach to looking at this chart.
Mm-hmm.
So should we go and look at the conjunction over the conjunctions? Start with them.
Yeah, go ahead.
I always start with conjunctions when I do readings. I think it's just always where my sort of eyes go to first. If there's a lot of going on, where's a lot of bulk. And in this chart, there's 4 planets hanging out there in Taurus. So we know there's the Taurus. What is that? That's the stable. That's the putting down the roots. That's the security. It literally is, with that much Taurus energy, especially the sun being in Taurus. I feel good when I'm secure. I feel good when I have my roots. I like things to be settled. But this is an eclipse with the moon over there in Scorpio saying, yeah, you like that. And I think you were talking about this a bit at the beginning as well. You may like that, and that may be what's secure to you. But, in order to progress, maybe there needs to be something that, we let go of with the Scorpio. And Scorpio is really linked to unearthing information, being a detective, researching. Sometimes things are hidden away, secrets. So it might be during this eclipse, this full moon, that we uncover information that triggers us to let go of some of the things that we wouldn't have thought that we wanted to let go of, those Taurian secure possessions, thoughts, ideas, values.
Yes. And because Pluto's hanging, by a thread still in Aquarius, getting ready to go back into Capricorn, which it was in since 2008. It's the beginning phases, and I'm talking like we're infant here in finding our truths, right? And what we're going to need to have that stability. So a lot of people have been very hard on themselves about all the change and what's going on, and be easy on yourself right here. There's a lot happening. Take it in. You're going to have 20 years to figure this out. So
Yeah.
Picture yourself in 20 years and tell me what that's going to look like. You're going to be very inaccurate. I can tell you right now, if you try to tell me today in 5 minutes. So.
Yeah, it's a good point. I said that a lot. I do my weekly forecast with my husband Michael. Each Sunday we talk about the astrology for the week ahead. And this week I spent a lot of time, I think, saying, just be kind to yourself. Let's just breathe. Let's just relax through this energy, because this definitely has the ability to feel quite unsettling. So nurturing yourself, being kind to yourself, and doing whatever kind of self-care helps you be good this week.
Yeah. And we're in the conjunction realm. So I like the Uranus Sun conjunction here.
Yes.
Taurus,
Yeah.
Because Uranus takes you where you need to be, takes you back, puts you on your path. And so you may just have this spark or this insight that you're not sure where it came from. I'm not saying you have to stick with it, but I'm saying you might want to at least look into it a little bit here and see where it can take you. As Uranus is your own brilliance or your own uniqueness trying to emerge on the physical plane here in Taurus. So the sun being here with it couldn't be a better time for you to get some more insight and maybe remind yourself that, hey, it's chaotic right now, but I'm learning more of who I am by facing the chaos here.
Yeah. And as well that, when you've got the sun coming together with you, and I know you're a big fan of Uranus. Do you have a strong Uranus? You have a strong Uranus in your chart? I can't remember.
It's exactly conjunct Pluto, and it's I'm Aquarius ascendant, so yes.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Yes. So.
Yeah, you're but it's true, there's the maverick energy. It is trying to leave us better. And this is an East Coast chart, so it's interesting. It's right on there on the midheaven. Yes. So that's sort of the flavor for the United States of America there, with that, exciting changes that are coming up for the country.
Yes.
This is very close to Washington here, so that's looking at the chart for the country. But yeah, having them two come together, it is excitement, it is buzzing, it's electrifying, it's ideas. It's also doing things differently. And maybe again, sometimes there is that urge for freedom, breaking free. So it might be that the information that we discover really sets upon this buzzing feeling of, I can't take this anymore. I want to break free, in some way.
Yes. Yeah, that's a perfect analogy. And I've been watching and studying a little bit of symbology, and it's very interesting that kind of what needs to end. I think Uranus comes in and helps you end things so you can be more free to get back on your path. And the symbology there is definitely plays in that in the symbol for Uranus. So know that the chaos that's here it needs to be here. It's to help you get back on your course, on your path. So
yeah. And did you mention Mercury being conjunct?
Go ahead.
No. Okay. So because Mercury is also hanging out there, so I think we're going to get a lot of strong opinions, opinionated people You know, whenever I think of like Mercury, Sun, Taurus coming together, I think of stubborn ideas.
Yes.
Yeah. So people talking about, I don't want to change this or I like that, you know. So that might also come up a little bit over this eclipse.
Yeah, and you know the beautiful thing about the sign of Taurus is the first fixed sign, and so you have to be to a degree stubborn and stay on the course and
Yeah.
keep this thing maintained. But sometimes you do it to your own detriment, and that's what we're all having to look at. So yeah, you'll
Mm.
see there's 5 planets in fixed signs, so you'll see some stubbornness here. So and no, you might be stubborn. So
Yeah.
try to stay in the middle here because it's an interesting run.
Yeah. It certainly is. And the last conjunction I think we've got there is the Jupiter North Node. It's out of sign, so it's not particularly close because Jupiter and the North Node, I think they come together on the 28th of the month, 28th of May, so a bit further down the line. That's an exciting one to look out for. That's a nice positive aspect when those two come together. They only do that every 12 years. So for the fact that they are together, even though it's out of sign in this eclipse chart, is the positive part of the chart. I kind of like that. It's saying the action we're taking, the changes that are happening are positively beneficial for our future.
Yes, agreed.
That's nice, you know, because I feel like there is a lot of unsettling, chaotic energy in this eclipse chart. You know, I think the one we had 2 weeks ago that we were talking about, the Aries one, was a little bit more friendlier in some ways, I think.
Yes.
Whereas this one, you know, there's a lot of unsettling movement in terms of what's, you know, with Taurus, what we feel like we know, what we feel like we have, even our resources, even our finances, long-term relationships and stuff like that can be shaken up here. So, you know, it's one to watch.
And I'll just throw this little tidbit. I'm a 29-degree Taurus moon. So I'll be the first one to admit what Taurus can do to us. We're so like determined and stubborn and go, no, I know this because and the moon represents your past, because I've felt this and I know when I have this feeling that this happens. But when you're that way to a degree, you miss the obvious, right? And so I'm the king now of the aha moment. So oops, I should have stepped back and look at this just from the middle ground versus on one end or the other. So you find yourself doing that, don't be afraid to admit that something extremely obvious was missed by you, right? Or maybe you'll help somebody else realize that. So don't miss that opportunity with Uranus in Taurus and this eclipse, you know, finishing up. So huge opportunities for the awakening.
The other thing I just looked at as well is because this eclipse is at 14 degrees and 58 minutes, it's basically at 15 degrees. It's closer to 15 than it is to 14. So this is a well point eclipse. So this is global as well as this is affecting, you know, when a world point, which is like a 15 degree, is triggered, it's taking place for the collective, for news that's going to be seen globally for everyone. Obviously, we're going to all be feeling this ourselves in our own lives, in our own charts, but there's going to be a lot of news stories, I suppose, that comes out with this eclipse. And we've got one big one. We know on Saturday there's the coronation of King Charles. So that's a big global event, I guess. So there's one. But there is Uranus there, so there's definitely something that's coming up to be exciting or out the blue, you know, surrounding this stuff.
Yes.
Unforeseen events. We can't predict Uranus. No astrologer can.
No, you don't. If you do, you would not be telling the truth like you actually knew it. To me, it's the energies, and that's what we're bringing to you. So, hey, here's what you're getting ready to deal with.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of things that a lot of people are going to eat crow happen around this time, and then over the next week, you know, till when the moon squares this. So you watch the events unfold that are hidden or not seen. and you watch the about face here, so it's going to be interesting. So
Yeah. So moving on to oppositions in the charts. Okay. Because Uranus, we're just talking about it, is making an opposition to the moon. So again, that, is other people triggering an emotional outburst in you, maybe in some way. So look for how other people are making you feel, because that might be a key to part of the story here.
and caution, you might do that to them. So you
Yeah.
want, yeah, don't forget to flip that on yourself. So
Yeah,
yes.
that's a good point. Yeah, you might trigger other people as well. So
And
yeah.
then, full moons always, that's why we do these night is lit up, so you can now see things that you couldn't have seen in the other phases of the moon because it was too dark. So visible endings, noticing that which is now illuminated that you didn't. So get ready for that as well.
Yeah. Yep.
And this is soul stuff from many lives ago. So
Yep. And we've also got Mercury opposite the moon there. So that is us talking about stuff. Oh my
yes,
goodness. That's actually just occurred to me, talking about stuff from the past, talking about your feelings,
correct.
unearthing information. Maybe there's stuff that you didn't know about someone, or your loved ones, a conversation that you didn't have, or now is the time to have.
And what I'm seeing with a lot of people that I'm doing the readings for
Mm.
is they're finally seeing people as they are versus as
Yeah.
they wanted them to be, or as they with their rose colored glasses as they thought they were. Now they're seeing them for as they are. And it's painful sometimes when you allowed somebody close into your life and then you notice them for as they really are, and then you look like a fool or feel like a fool because you missed it. But that,
Yeah.
that was what I stated earlier.
Yeah.
We're all doing that, so don't think you're alone.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I'm also seeing this, I think, a little bit with people globally in the news. Like we had the Met Gala last night, and then obviously we've got the coronation, all these events where people are prominent or elevated, and I'm hearing a lot of people questioning, well, why are they any different to us? Why is it what it's almost like second guessing the whole status symbol, and sort of with Pluto being at 0 degree of Aquarius saying we're all equal, no one's more special. Why do we care about someone else as much just because of their status? Whereas years ago, that would have been more sort of normal, I suppose. Like more that people would just think that was a, this is what we do, this is who we recognize, this is like a class system or a status system in some way. But I think now people are questioning, well, why is that person better than me, or why do I feel like I have to look at that person? I'm just hearing a lot of conversations about that, and I thought that was really interesting with Pluto going into Aquarius, because it's sort of saying, well, now we all have power. It's not one person being above anyone else anymore.
Right.
And I'm seeing that shift this week a little with this eclipse. And I thought that's a really interesting observation. I think in the news, there's been a little bit of information on the coronation, because the Archbishop Canterbury, who anoints the king and makes him head of the church, has said everyone can take an oath of allegiance to the king during the coronation ceremony. And even the most sort of in the UK, the people that are very, very pro monarchy have kind of taken a step back and gone, what? You want me to make an oath to another person? Like, what? Aren't we equal? It's taken away that whole, that would have just been the norm. That would have just been not really spoken about or negotiated. Whereas now people are saying, well, he's a person.
Right.
Whereas I think years ago it might have been more like, oh no, he is the king, so we will make an oath and pledge allegiance to that person. So there has been I've been hearing conversations of a shift, wherever your opinion is on that. I know it's slightly political, but I'm not saying my views either way. I'm just saying I've heard this news stories, and it sort of plays into this theme of realizing, having conversations, realizing and that we are all we should all be treated as equal.
Well, and that's really I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the message you and I've been trying to send out is
Yeah.
your value is just as much
Mm-hmm.
and is equal, and however else you want to put it, into where we're the same as mine. I'm a spec, you're a spec, but
Yeah.
I want to be the best spec I can be on this map. And I'm hoping that with this Uranus and Taurus and Pluto finally getting Aquarius, that we all start seeing that in all facets, and that
Yeah.
includes the monetary system. The only reason some of these monetary systems exist because we work, and we give that the blind support that we've always given it, right? It's just like what you're talking about with the king and the queen, and
Yeah.
same thing in the monetary system. Take that to every facet of your life and
Yeah.
realize you come in alone, and when you die, you go back or try to have to deal with the source. And the more we all get that, and we're all having the same battle, the more we're going to self-empower, and then we'll together just truly try to just live. And that's really all we're supposed to do. But we got off course, but we're getting back on course. I'm enjoying it. So thanks for bringing it up, because I hate to approach that, because I feel like I feel like come across in a way that people are like, yeah, whatever. But
I
you brought it
know.
in a beautiful way. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I was kind of reluctant to bring it up as well, because it's like I don't like talking about politics on, and with astrology sometimes, and it is a quite political view, but it just what I'm trying to just say is more like is more the impression that no one is better than anyone else, and we all have talents, we all have skills, we all have stuff that we bring to the world. If we were all the same, the world wouldn't operate very well, because we all need to have different strengths in order to have a good working society. And that's the strain when you look at astrology and you look at the chart and people say, oh, Mars is terrible, we don't like Mars transits in our chart. Well, if we don't have that Mars person, if we don't have that Martian energy, we can have the party with Jupiter and Venus. We can have the sun shining on us, but who's going to get the cleaning up going? Who's going to get the organizing of the party? So we need all the energies, all the people all here to make an effective society, and everyone should get their chance to shine.
And your education, I don't care about your education. That I don't value you anymore than if you're super educated or uneducated. It don't matter to me. I want to know who you are. And that's what you and I have been trying to do. Just try to help people find themselves, and then just be the best that can be. So
yeah, and also as well, I think we're talking about with the Capricorn stuff of the hierarchy of people. We were just touched on that, and also you mentioned the money. The same thing applies. I think that there has been this maybe back to the 1980s a little bit with that status, that hierarchy. I touched upon this last time as well. With they're more respected because they have more wealth in some way. That's really disappearing. And I hear, you just don't hear that anymore. You don't. You hear. I hear conversations of people having completely shifts of their view on who is more respected these days, which is very interesting as well.
now, from my soul to all of yours, what did they have to sell to get the financial standard or hierarchy they got? What do they have to sell to get that title? They paid more than what it was worth. And us that haven't done that, we're truly on the course to live. So think about that, please. Think about when you see somebody famous, what exactly did they have to do to get there? They paid something, I promise you, because that's how this system has been built, and we fell for it. And I don't want to go into details, but there was a cost, trust me.
There's the big shift in perception. There's a big shift on how we look at people, and how I think we also look at ourselves with this eclipse.
Yes. Yep. So
okay,
we got off course, but I love we did. Good job.
We digressed a bit there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the oppositions, right?
Yes, I think we've done all them. Now we're looking at some squares.
Yep.
Squares is all the red stuff, the red squares that you can see in the chart.
And squares are where they're in elements that don't want to get along. Water, fire, right? So think about that. That's why when we say squares, you got to work, because the energies don't want to work together, but they're asking you to try to help them. So maybe they can come to a middle ground that'll work. So
Yeah. And we have a big square here with Pluto squaring the nodes, and that's going to be going on for the next couple of months. So that's
yeah.
a lingering aspect, but that is making us make changes to move into our future in some way.
Remember, the nodes are the universe awakening you
Yeah.
to where you are, not where you think you are, where you are. So know that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And
Pluto,
Venus,
Jupiter,
Pluto,
Venus, Neptune.
Jupiter. Yeah.
It'll just help you with your awareness, in my opinion, the square there of the awakening. And then I think if you think of Jupiter help expand, it can either get you more pissed off or help you step back and say, get that aha to be all capital letters, is the way I look at that.
Yeah. I think it's just making everything bigger.
Yeah,
It's
where you can't
exploding.
miss it. You can't miss it. Exactly.
Yeah. It's exploded everything in the chart. So
Yes.
it's definitely emphasizing it all. Okay, and then we also have the Venus Neptune square in this chart as well. So it's, that's money coming together there as well. It is really working out our values. What do we really love?
Yes.
Those two coming together. That's Venus is love, but Neptune is ideal, the ideal love, the
Yeah.
ultimate love. You know, I think people always talk about Venus, but you want to strive for Neptune in your relationships if you
Yeah.
can. So them two coming together, maybe there has to be adjustments in stuff that we love, or us figuring out what we really do love.
And when I see Neptune square Venus, it toss out easy then, because they both want ease, right? They want it to work and
Yeah.
to just be supported and nurtured. And but when they're square, I think that those kind of take a back seat at this time. Not that you can't do things and they won't, be successful, but just know they might be a little more frustrating than you'd like. So
Yeah. Okay. Did we get all the squares? Did we miss?
Uranus Moon was the only other. Oh no, sorry. That's it. Jupiter Mars is the only other one.
Oh yeah, Jupiter Mars. Yeah. So again, um, the need to take action here, or maybe aggression, or just energy. You know, like I said, Mars is the one that gets the party organized and helps cleaning up after, like getting the energy going here. So there's so much in this chart that speaks to it being a lot and us not being able to ignore.
Yeah, and the whole concept of the Scorpio full moon will be, don't fall for anything that happens right now, because it might just be the opposite. So don't kid yourself here.
Yeah.
And this Mars, Jupiter, I think is a big part of that. So
Yeah, it certainly is. This is such a big chart. We could talk about it all day.
oh God, I mean we
We
could
really
go on.
could.
Yeah. Should
Just
we move to
know.
the? Go ahead.
Sorry.
I was going to move to the trines, but I don't want to take
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I was just going to say, just know that the change is happening now. It's chaos, but after the chaos comes the renaissance. So,
This is a storm, and then it'll be all of a sudden the clouds will go and the sun will be back.
yeah.
So, and that's what we got to look at. How much do we want this storm to clean up? So when that sun comes out, we're ready to go, so.
Yeah. Okay, the trines we have, we've got the Mars Neptune trine.
Yep.
So we spoke a bit about that at the beginning. I mentioned
Yes.
the alcohol, losing yourself, but really think about imagination. This is great for law of attraction. Taking action around your thoughts, what you dream of, what you imagine, your spiritual beliefs, what you long for.
Yeah, good point. Let the insight, let that just sudden insight, just let it sink in a little bit and
Yeah.
explore it. Yeah, I think that's a great way to handle that.
Yeah, put into the higher energy of it all.
Yeah.
I think people forget that about Neptune a lot of the time when they're first learning astrology. They always talk about the confusion and the addiction. They never talk about the beauty of it and the love that it has. I quite like
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I think it's what puts this whole thing together. It rules the 12th house, right? Rules the sign that rules the 12th house. It's
Yeah.
where we put the whole thing together and come to an understanding. So we forget
Yeah.
to talk about that, and I'm bad about not bringing up the higher side of Neptune and Pisces. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I had Moon and Mars as well.
Yes, they're making a trine during this. So, that's kind of the Mars and the Moon can be a heavy emotional aspect, but because it's a trine, it's really saying, the how you're feeling can be it can really take you to make the action as well. It can influence your drive. Your emotions can influence your drive.
Yeah, and Mars being in that pioneer, right, in the sign of Cancer, and then the
Mm.
Moon in Scorpio,
Mm.
you might get an urge to do something that's you're like, man, I don't know where this is coming from. I would say explore it to a degree. You don't have to remember Mars is a starter, right? So you may not have to see it all the way through, but this might get you on a new path just by that little spark or that insight. You go, I'm going to try this, and you might get out of your comfort zone. So let's see if that happens here. You might regret it. I don't care, but you'll get further down the line. You don't have to take it to its end at this point, but it's about beginning. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're good. We've touched on all the points here in this eclipse. Is there anything else that you wanted to?
no, I think that's
We
about it. I think we're
did
good.
we did good. We got through it all.
Yeah.
So, wishing you a happy eclipse season, everyone.
Yeah, remember it is Scorpio. It's going to be intense.
Mm.
When I go back and look at my last Scorpio full moons at this time, crazy stuff happens to me. I'm so ready though, right? So I'm not going to let it throw me off. A few times it's thrown me off tremendously. I hope that you realize that this is that this moon in Scorpio is going to give you opportunities of insight to that which you are from a soul perspective. So get after it, please.
Mm. Yep. And remember, just stay calm. And if people around you are losing their heads, just try and stay calm as well.
And my biggest thing now is don't quit repeating the obvious, right? So I'm trying to not repeat the obvious with the people I hang with, because it's just getting old. We know it. We've talked about it. So hopefully you can get over that too. So
Yeah. Okay. So wishing you all a wonderful eclipse season. We're nearly at the end of it now. The next video we will do will be the new moon. So we'll see you again next time.
Good luck.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.
Yep. Thank you.